Hey, I'm Ryan, and this is Kelly.
Hi.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Power Rankings podcast. Look, we have obviously a very minimal script here, but I'm going to deviate off the bat here. Kelly wanted me to talk about how these are subjective, and she doesn't want anybody being offended if they're at the bottom. Look, if you do bad stuff, I'm going to make fun of you here. What I will say is that my own captain, John Leaz, looked at our team this last week and told everybody that we can beat anyone that we want to and to ignore the power rankings. So probably that's the energy that you should have when you're listening to our trash talk here. Does that work for you, Cal?
Yeah, I suppose that works for me. I'm just saying that if you take us seriously at all, then you deserve the feeling of disappointment that comes with taking us seriously.
You ready to get right into it?
Yeah, but first, this episode is brought to you by Bag o' Bags. It's a bag for your bags. Ask Kaylee Craig for more detail.
Gotta have a bag of bags. Gotta have a bag of bags.
Okay, so if we look at the actual standings this week, where are we at?
Yeah, so we still have white in first place. Red is in second, a 3-1 team with a negative point diff. So
Oh.
that's fun. Um, green and yellow tied record-wise next, and then blue and then black.
Yeah, and green and yellow are tied record-wise and point diff-wise, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um, how does that reflect like what we're doing in indoor, where we're settling, what you think about what everyone's doing? Not just the power rankings, but like are there any big takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games still look close, and when we get into the individual teams, I'll talk about this more. I think that a lot of the teams who are struggling or teams who have lost are not losing because of team makeup. Um,
Mm.
I still look at every team here, and I don't see like easy wins or like a game I can take off against anyone.
Right, you do talk frequently about how like OKC Ultimate does a really good job balancing teams
I think we've gotten
out of the gate. Yeah. Okay. So before we dive into the teams, let's talk about the wall eat count. Last week you said that you would set the bet at 2.5 and you took the under.
Yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah,
Anybody who took the over there, you have crushed that bet. I think there were like five or six,
it
something like
was
that.
everyone, but specifically Ashley Verzone Wilson was taking every game's like wall eat count very seriously and reported back to us. So thank you for that, Ashley.
Yeah, guys, stop running into the wall. That looks painful.
Okay, so let's look at the actual rankings. In first place, you have, and on paper, we have White. Tell us more about White's games and like individual players and notes that you had.
Yeah, white still just looks so good and just so deep. I think the easiest way for a team we haven't had a really like dominant blow through a league team in a while. But the easiest way for a team to do that is for the kind of middle of the road players, and we're balancing teams, to have gotten a lot better than people realize they are.
Oh, I thought it was just to have Eric on your team.
That helps.
Okay.
White has a lot of that. There are some people on this team that we knew were like good that I think are much better than we suspect. I forgot to talk about Jackson last week. He wasn't here this week, but he is someone in my mind who I think who showed week one how good he is. From this last week, Ben really popped off. Jimmy kind of shouted him out when we were talking about games afterwards. Played really, really well. And let me pull up my notes here. Sean. Sean is just having a heck of a league so far. He got two hand blocks on EJ.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot more of a low light on EJ, I think, and at least as far as I consider it. But he's been playing really well.
Okay. And White did specially shout out Sarah for subbing in. So not only did she play her games, but then she played Savage in the games with White because she had to stay for Eric anyway. So thank you to Sarah from Jimmy and the rest of Team White.
Yeah. You mentioned Eric, just getting into some of the highlights now. He had a flick huck that just like stayed flat the entire way with just a little bit of IO to the end zone. That was just one of the sexiest throws I saw in any game watching
Oh
footage.
yeah, when we were watching film to prep for this, do you remember exactly what you said?
Oh, Eric, that is so sexy. I don't remember
I was uncomfortable.
and then of course we couldn't have highlights without talking about lowlights. Kyle got beat by Andy on yellow. I'll give him that shout out when we get there. And called just one of the worst fouls that I've ever seen. We all yelled at him for that in the moment, but just a horrendously bad foul call. One of my favorite heckles I have ever heard. There was a contentious foul or some physicality in the end zone. I don't remember exactly what it was. You can hear on footage Jimmy from the sideline yelling, "You got to punch him for that." just amazing. Um,
Oh man. Yeah, and then Sarah also had a crazy catch against EJ and Abby in the white versus black game.
yeah, yeah. There had been a switch, so EJ was on her. Uh, then EJ poached off of her to try and get a D that he missed. So Sarah's open. She sprints to the end zone. The throw floats. EJ and Abby both get there, and she's able to sneak right past them for a score with like an inch to spare.
Man, gotta play more defense,
Also,
EJ.
shout out Evan for subbing onto this team for floating for us.
Oh yeah.
Having a layout the very first possession of the first game.
It was sick. He hit his head on the wall.
And then in their second game, having just a pure hit him in the chest drop. Uh, Way to keep our floaters balanced here, man.
Okay, so who do you have as the next ranked team and why?
Yeah, so I think green, red, and yellow are so, so tight. I went back and forth on this order in every possible permutation a lot.
Yeah, and that makes sense because on paper, green and yellow are tied.
We have the record advantage. We have the head-to-head on green. It was just the craziest game I've ever seen.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the red versus green game first.
Eventually, and we'll talk about it when we get to us.
Okay, okay.
What I ended up settling with here, I always say that power rankings are my guess on how teams will do going forward, not necessarily a consequence of how teams have already done. So head-to-head matchups shouldn't matter. But like a little bit, you've got to reward that, right? So green is slotting into second here for beating yellow. And contrary to exactly what I just said, they're slotting in ahead of us because of how tight that game was. Um, I was impressed with some of the aspects of green that I've complained about previously. So I mentioned how much I think that they need a like every other throw, maintain possession, keep the disc moving handle. I think that because he is so good in the deep space, I have underrated how good Jeff is at playing that role. Jeff is in our game, and I don't think in their other game, did not do a whole bunch of stuff deep. He really has been acting as their handle. He's done really well at it.
Yeah.
I think that I've really underrated him there. I also have to give a huge shout out here to Ethan. This was against us, maybe one of Ethan's best game that I've ever seen.
Is Ethan the kid that caught like 4 hammers?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, just ridiculous. I do think it was legitimately 4 hammers. The kid was on a tear.
Yeah.
On that note, I do want to point out, continuing my concerns about the real offense that this team can play. This team scored 9 points against us.
Okay.
Even though they came as close to beating us as you possibly can without winning, 9 points would have been the lowest scoring win that this league has seen so far by like 3 scores.
Okay.
Of those 9 points, 4 of them were breakside hammers. It's indoor. It works. You're allowed to throw hammers, but man,
Maybe that's not the strongest offensive
I,
strategy.
I am still waiting to see this team really just prove that they can make offense as easy as it should be.
Okay, they didn't have battles and they didn't have GIF. Is that one of the reasons we're seeing
Sure,
that kind of offense?
probably, yeah. Also probably, I mean, if you've completed 2 breakside hammers that easily, and we keep leaving them open, like I said, it's indoor. There's no win. The breakside hammer is a very
Very
viable
viable
throw.
throw.
Um,
Okay.
I do want to also now talk about their post timeout end zone. On a team that has Jeff on it, it blows my mind that after a timeout against Yellow, their offense was Sunil ISO. Very curious to know who that was.
That
Sunil,
one
I love
worked,
you.
right?
No, it did not.
Oh,
Curtis had a really good play. We'll get to that. Sunil, I love you, baby. That is not on a team with Jeff. Uh, the play that I would have called out of a timeout.
yeah, but who had disc? Do you remember?
Yeah, Sam.
Oh, okay, okay.
Call it on Sam. It was the throw was like close. It was into his chest, and I mean it probably hit some. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying on a team where you said, yeah, Jeff is doing amazing work as a handle.
Yeah, no,
we
they
should
did.
also ISO Jeff in the end zone.
They
Like,
did in
Mans
our
can't be in
game.
two places at
In
one
our
time.
game, take that same timeout, had the same play with Jeff as the ISO, and we did eventually stop it, and they swung it around a bunch and scored anyways on a freaking breakside hammer. But yeah, I just wanted to laugh at that a little bit.
That is pretty good. Okay, so next up you have red team. Woo woo.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, why?
Oh my goodness. This was a heck of a 2-0. So, in our game against Green, we scored 4 points in the first 22 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
Or 5 points in the first 22 minutes, and 4 points in the last 40 seconds. To send it to Uni to tie the game, and we were able to get the dub in overtime.
Yeah.
Just insane.
We do have so far the most boring like perfectionist universe point offense I have ever seen. We have done it twice now,
Oh,
2 weeks in a
oh
row.
yeah.
It's the most boring offense, and it has worked. Why do you think we can't capture that in the first 20 minutes of a game?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I think that we are a team that is always going to grow. I want to shout out our new guys this last week.
Hmm.
I made came at par a little bit after week one for the drops that he had. He locked it down. His hands were great. Shout out actually the connection that you had throwing to him
In
in
the
the
game
second
against
game.
Blue, yeah.
I joked to him, it turns out that all Par needs to be able to catch well is to have a defender draped over his back. If he has to sit there and think about the catch, it is being dropped every time. But if it just happens and he's fighting someone off, he's got great hands.
Let's go.
Um,
We just need pure athleticism.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ephraim played great in that game. Yeah, I think really what it came down to is that we are kind of growing
Yeah.
as a team.
Yeah.
And
Now, what is
second half, we locked it down.
crazy, speaking of like new people performing well, Emmy showed up and she looked not as excited to play as I have seen, which is it's an unparalleled level of enthusiasm. And I was like, "Hey, are you feeling okay?" And she's like, "Nah, I think I have a cold." This week she messaged in the poll and said she has pneumonia. So homegirl played with developing
Jeez.
pneumonia, and Ashley, right before our first game against Green, took a Benadryl because she started having an allergy attack and was wheezing. And if you watch footage, you cannot tell based on like cuts and timing that either one of these players was suffering from like respiratory paralysis basically at that point. So that was very
Really,
impressive.
yeah,
Yeah.
really good MJ flu game. Grinded out games. Getting into like individual shout outs here, Keegan played really well. He told us that he thought he played well enough for at least half a shout out. Keegs, I'm gonna give you a full shout out here. The blades that you threw to end that game were great. You walked us off. Catching a blade from
True.
Kason, great throw by the way. Your
Hmm.
defense was good against the second game against Blue. You had a really good D on Justin, who is not an easy person to defend in the reset space, just clogging everything up and getting it knocked away. Really, really good stuff there. Isaac played really well. Specifically, going into our second game, I was like, "Hey, man, I really want you to work deep this game a little bit more."
Hmm.
And the first time we were both on at the same time, we look at each other. We have the connection that happens when you've played multiple leagues in a row. He takes off, hit him in the back corner. He jumps up over a couple of people. Oh, it was a great catch. Um,
Phenomenal.
Speaking of great catches in that game, you had a super contested catch with Jason coming in for not really a poach, they were in a zone. Um,
Yeah.
Coming
Yeah.
in that you were able to rip away. That was an incredible catch. That
That
was
one did feel really good after watching the footage. I will say that the one consolation I had is that like you have to catch this. You can't get intimidated because you know Jason has enough body control. He's not going to run into you, so this is on you. So that did feel like a really good dub there. Yeah.
and then look, I've mentioned Par's drops from week one, so got to be fair here. ZJ also had a drop, hit him right in the hands. It was a swing. He was standing stationary. Blue was in a zone. There was no one within 10 feet of him. I don't know how you even explain that one. That was bad.
Okay, but on the note of like incredible catches, Kason roofing Jeff.
Yeah. Oh man. Jeff, I have never seen somebody do you like this in the end zone. The second one he got was a lot of a position. He was behind. Jeff was kind of playing poacher and trying to take away the stuff. The first catch he had, Jeff was on him. Kason is known for getting up. He even said when I gave him a shout out in person, like that's what I do. That's what Jeff does, man. That was a great catch. Really, really, really stunning stuff.
That was exciting to see, yeah. And then last week I shouted out a ton of our teammates, mostly because nobody submitted stuff, but I, in my enthusiasm, forgot to shout you out
Yeah,
for all of
same
your
thing.
like, yeah, it's fine, you know. But like your incredible consistency. And usually when I talk about your incredible consistency, I'm thinking like, okay, you're always available for the reset. You always grab stuff, even if we throw like the trashiest dumps. You throw really good catchable breadbasket throws, even with hooks. That's really cool. Those are all great things. And this week, your consistency was with like your mark and your hand blocks. How many hand blocks did you have?
Yeah, so I got a two total. I had one on Sam in the first game and one on Min, I think, in the second.
Let's go.
I also, I mean, first off, everyone's going to assume that I asked for this. Recognize that I didn't, and the proof is that if I asked for it, I would not say to shout out consistency because I know that's what I say when I want to tell someone they've been good, but they haven't done anything cool.
Oh, whoop.
Uh, and then it wasn't a hand block, but in uni, maybe because of the hand block, I think I had Sam on the wall to stall 6.5 before a throwaway that was the last thing that we needed.
Yeah.
So yeah, the mark felt good.
Yeah, and then I do want to take credit for some of like the higher stall situations. You told me that telling you the bad spot for a lefty who is always forced
Yeah,
backhand.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I talked to you about this afterward. You have mentioned in kind of the play you've done down with like Torch and like PUL
mhm.
how much more of a flat mark they run and how difficult that is
Yeah.
for a like
I
a
mean, if you're reaching across yourself with a backhand, you have a lot less reach, like, I don't know, 6 inches less reach, depending on who you are and how short or not you are. Sorry, Abby. Of reach than you do for a flick. Like, if I step out with a flick and fully lean, I get a lot more distance. Nobody ever wants me to throw a flick. It's always a backhand because I'm a lefty. I just don't get
yeah.
that same reach.
Yeah, so yeah, the hand block that I got in the first game was pretty exploitative. I've worked with you a lot, exactly where you told me where to stand that annoys you so you could work on it. So yeah, I mean like I was giving up a force, but I just kind of stood there and yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Now I will say this doesn't work on everyone. John Leaz, our resident lefty,
Yeah,
would not
I've
be
never
got by
even
that even
close
a
to
little bit.
blocking with that.
Libby would just throw a high release over your shoulder anyway, right? But for some of us cutter lefties, that is really, really special. Okay, so who do you have? Did you have anything else for red?
That's what I got for
All
red.
right, who do you have up next and why?
Yeah, so I've got yellow coming up next, and I need everyone to know I considered yellow at 2 for a while. I think that if it was just based on play and I didn't care like honestly about record, I might have done it. Yellow, I think, still looks when they're on pretty good. The problem that I think with yellow and the reason they went 0-2 is not because they're the old guy team, right?
Yeah.
They're old for sure. But like they don't play old, right? Like
Yeah, no, they don't
Curtis
play.
does not play
Yeah,
old.
no,
Matt Cree does not play old. Jana does not play old, right?
true.
Ironically, they have Casey, who is like the second youngest person on this team and plays older than everyone else they have.
Okay, I think that could I don't know, I'd have to go back and watch footage, but I will say he did run down a disc with an incredible amount of speed where I was like, oh, that person's gonna have to lay out before I realized it was Casey.
Fair,
Fair.
fair.
Okay.
I think that the problem Yellow had this week is that they are playing like a college team at pickup.
Oh
The
no.
problems that they had, Jerry himself had 2 turns on just like deep shot hammers that I don't think, even if he threw them perfectly, I don't think were gonna work.
But
Um,
Jerry himself will always throw deep shot hammers.
Yeah, we joked before the first week about like how will Jerry and Casey like how will that dynamic work? I didn't expect them to both like regress 7 years of mental age, to just back in college again.
Oh man. But that doesn't put the rest of the team back in college. So why are they throwing those deep loops?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just think that maybe it's just a 1 week thing, but there were just a lot of looks that I don't think were super there that looked fun that they took the shot for.
Okay.
I do have highlights because when this team is on, they really look good. I've
Okay.
shouted out Joel before. He was doing such good work on defense. Just every time he was on, the entire four side lane was just not available. He did such a good job eating everything else
Ooh,
up that went in there.
okay.
I mentioned that Curtis had a really good play on Sunil after the timeout in
Oh
their game
yeah.
against Green. Yeah, like I said, the throw it wasn't like a missed throw. It would have hit Sunil in the chest. Maybe it's a little further out to catch it, but still, Curtis had to bid to get it, and he did. Curtis had a
Ooh,
great play
a
there.
rare Curtis bid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Um, Andy played, I thought, really well. He had a great D on Kyle. Kyle called just the worst foul of my life.
When
He
you say
said that.
Andy, do you mean Andrew?
Yeah, he goes by Andy.
Oh, I did not know that.
Sorry, yeah. I played in the league with him before he introduced himself as Andy.
Let's go.
Yeah, had a really, really good D. And also at one point he changed out of the yellow shirt to just black. I assume that was too close to white. At
Mm.
least on film, dude, that black was a sexy look. You should rock that.
Ooh.
That looked good. Um, Riley, okay, so Riley complained about not getting mentioned before.
So he took you seriously.
Riley steals a pass that is going for Andrea really aggressively. Like he runs and grabs it. She like has to stop and pull back, and you can see a little bit of fear on her face. He catches it, throws a score to Joe, and then like pimps the throw, puts his hands up all while Andrea's standing right in front of him. That's a highlight, I guess. Um,
Okay, you talk about that like Riley also didn't have like some insane D's, some great position, the well-timed hammer when you called the hammer call because of your on-field
Riley's
bet.
2-0 on my hammer calls.
Okay, so so far what I've learned is that in indoor, hammers are working.
Eh,
It's working for Green, it's working
if
for
you're not
Riley.
Jerry, yeah.
It's working if you're not
Worth
Jerry.
noting that both of Riley's hammers have been like 15
The
yards.
appropriate hammer
Yeah.
distance. He just knows what he's doing. Okay, I got it.
Um, Yeah, it's also worth noting that Yellow didn't have Garrett with them. He
Hmm.
changes such a huge amount of just the team's energy here. I wouldn't be surprised. I am very interested to see how our game goes with them this week. I think we can beat them, John. Don't come for me here, man. We're the best team in the world. We're going to beat everybody. We're fine. I am very curious to really be able to match up against them and see how they are because we haven't played them yet,
Yeah.
and see how they are in person.
Yeah.
I think
That
it's
is
gonna
a
be.
yeah, I think it'll be fun regardless. Okay. Oh, and then there was that injury. So David rolled his ankle. Do you I missed that because I was
Yeah, I
moving and
didn't see
talking.
what it was.
Okay.
Let me know if you're okay,
Yeah,
dude.
are you gonna be able to play
That
tomorrow?
would obviously change a lot. I think he'll probably be fine from what he told me. I think he'll be okay.
Okay, well, let's go because when he was like out of the game and Casey was on the field playing the next game, I was doing my best job to wrap up his ankle and I basically said, "Hey, I want to make it so tight it can't swell anymore. If it hurts, cut it off and then find Casey." So, I mean, it wasn't looking
Ah,
good. You made up sound like you had more
no,
things to say
that's what
about.
I got.
Okay, so where are we at? Because I mentioned the first week that this team would be interesting because I want to know, does Matt Cray or does Jerry have more layouts? Where are we at on that?
Yeah, so I'm not tracking this. Just watching footage this week, I'm pretty sure I know I saw at least one from each. I know that they both had more, just because I know them both. If somebody is tracking that or someone has a general idea, let us know. I am curious about how
Yeah,
this one goes.
yeah. Ashley, you're good at reporting back on stats. Otherwise, Jerry, just brag about your layouts more. Come on, man. Your throws aren't doing it. We need something. Okay, do you have a next ranked team?
Yeah. So next one here, I'm gonna go blue. Like I said, at some point you do
Ooh.
have to respect the head-to-head. They had a pretty huge comeback to come back on black.
Okay.
Um, uh, and
You
yeah,
say pretty huge comeback. It's 3 points.
yes, they started down. Let me pull up exactly what the numbers were. They were losing to black by I think like 7 or 8 before
Oh,
they came back to win by 3.
okay.
Yeah. Um, it was pretty big.
That is a really good run.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number here.
Okay.
Um, I do know, I have heard what happened from two different people, and it is a hilarious dichotomy. So Jason told me that they were running a zone, the zone wasn't working, put him in a big hole. They switched to man, had a huge comeback to win the game.
Okay.
Blanche told me that they started off running a zone, they were losing, and that zone saved their legs enough that they were able to play really hard in the back half of the game and come back and win.
So whose idea do you think that zone was?
So yeah, the captain probably. I look. I have opinions here. So we beat Blue pretty easily. I don't remember what the point diff was. I know that at no point in that game was I really worried.
Okay.
I don't think that was because of the personnel. I don't think we really had people popping off. I think it was because many, many times that game, we just walked the disc up the field. There were multiple times when I had the disc and I would swing it, and Min or Gabe or I saw Junior one time running like a rabbit back and forth. That's a brutal job to have, especially when like you can just swing it back and forth and pick up 5 yards each time.
Hmm.
Presumably that there's something that the zone is supposed to be doing that's different. Um, I personally don't know if this is the team that I would run zone with. I don't like zone really helps if you are worried about like a defensive like mismatch or like this person is really struggling, so we put a zone to help that. Famously, the one zone I've ever seen work in indoor had KT and you remember Rob moved to
Yeah, I do remember.
had both of them. They were the Jimmy pulled out a zone that kind of worked around them not being somebody who's going to keep up with like man defense super well.
Is that the one where Big Jeff just took up a third
Yeah,
of the field?
this was also when we played sixes on the old smaller fields, and Jeff would just took up half the field in the back. Yeah,
Okay.
if you can't tell, like I think Jeff is a really good frisbee player. Um,
Yeah, salivates over Jeff weekly.
yeah, I think if I look at this team, everyone's an athlete. Everybody can keep up.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know, like the idea of saving legs is a reasonable one. The idea of putting people in a position where you're always trapping them into the wall makes sense on paper. We'll see.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think it's important to note that you said like, yeah, everybody is athletes, and Blanche still said we saved legs. Special shout out to like Gabe Min Jr., probably some others, but like especially those guys. I remember Gabe specifically.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, you didn't look tired after playing the rabbit, and the rabbit was probably the most effective part of that zone.
Yeah. You mentioned Junior. He got really up to get a D on Steven in their game against Black. Steven
Ooh.
is just been playing out of his mind, so that's a good D in general. But this was like they were both there. He was standing in front, but it was a
Hmm.
true 50-50. He got up, got the D. It was a really good D.
Wow.
Um, low light, maybe my favorite low light of the week. Um, Justin gets stalled by Jacob, and I had three different people tell me how bad of a contest that it was.
Ooh.
But it gets contested, verbatim, one of those people. Just admit that you forgot it was stall seven, dude.
Oh
Uh,
no.
uh, Contests it, plays on, stalled again, contests again. Another direct quote, more reasonable contest this time. Jacob may have been fast counting him. Comes back, third throw goes into a wall.
Oh.
That's just a hilarious.
Oh, that is
That's a hilarious segment.
that's too much just don't lie for my comfort. Oof.
Yeah. And then equally as funny, and another one that I had multiple people tell me was Captain Summers screaming for help
Screaming at the
like
12:50 mark if you want to watch the footage.
for like a solid 15 seconds before he realizes that his team is on offense.
Oh man. Yeah, that was a good one. I was texted about this. I had left for those last games. Immediately texted like, "Oh, this was too good." Also a special shout out to Summers. In the middle of his game when he's on the sideline, he turns around and he mouths to me something and I don't know what he's mouthing. I was like, you like me?" And I was like, I mean, that's cool. You like everyone, Summers. And he's like, no, 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 no. I hate you. And I remembered at that moment that in our game against Blue, uh, I see Summers guarding ZJ, and I was like, well, if I just put it high in the air, that's gotta be ZJ's disc. I way underestimated Summers. He got the most up I have ever seen anybody get up, and he D'd the disc.
It was,
It
yeah,
was
he
incredible.
got him, sort of.
And brother did not catch his D, so I just came back and caught the disc he D'd and then re-threw it to ZJ, but a more reasonable, not high catch that Summers couldn't D. So I do understand and respect that you hate me, Summers. Um,
But also, thank you for adding so much comedy.
oh my
I
goodness, it was so good.
I think
All of our favorite lowlights. That D was really impressive though. Like, take that with you.
I also do, before we move on here, want to shout out Juicy.
Let's go, Juicy.
This is awkward because I want to shout him out for his consistency.
Oh,
No,
tell us why you think he's not
I
great.
watched the games. You stood out. There were you had a lot, like you were constantly catching a dish, you were constantly throwing, you were constantly getting D's. I wish I had like one highlight. I don't, but you had just a lot of plays where you were involved and it was positive. So I mentioned you in the group of people that I think Blue would need to
Hmm.
kind of play above what we expect, and I thought you did. Really good job. I also want to shout out Blue in general. Their best offense this week was frequently on deep throws. Their deep throws look good. Summers was dropping dimes. Justin had at least two that were great.
Hmm.
This is not the team I would expect to be the deep throw team, especially because Jason received none of them. Um, they were really good. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So whatever blue is doing on their deep looks is what yellow needs to be doing if they're going to continue to choose
yeah.
deep looks. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Yeah, and I'm as a person who does shout out consistency regularly, I think it is important to note that on a team that has high highs and low lows, a consistent player can be the difference between
For sure,
being last ranked
for
and
sure.
not.
Before we move on from here, last week we talked about Addie and
Oh yeah,
what sport she played, and I said gotta be soccer. It was seven different sports
in
as a
sport.
varsity athlete, and none of them were soccer. That's maybe my biggest L of the week. She told us all of them: basketball, shot put, swimming. I don't remember.
Gymnastics?
Mm,
Something, dance or gymnastics, something that makes you incredibly
The
flexible.
point is that it was everything
Powerlifting.
but soccer.
Yeah,
So
incredible.
yeah,
It all makes sense. Okay, so we always have to talk about the last place team, and it feels bad to call them last place. I guess I could say six, but we all know what it is.
yeah.
Black finally moved down. Why?
Yeah. So look, I can't have a team that lost to Blue as convincingly as they did above them. I guess I could say like, oh, Coco's still not here, and maybe
I mean, that's been working for you for the last couple of weeks.
I suspect that Black will do better and move up as we go. But I think that this is where I've got to put them.
Okay.
I do have plenty of shout outs. I guess we can talk about the problems here.
Okay.
So many of the problems that were here were just I don't even call them like decision problems. They were like throws or catches that were like, oh, like execution, right? Like
Okay.
sometimes we say like, ooh, right decision, but like the execution was a little bit off.
Yeah.
Just a lot of those. A throw is a little bit too far. A throw is a little bit too behind.
Hmm.
Somebody has like a drop that wasn't like the easiest catch, but it was something that you expect them to catch.
Hmm.
Um, the communication, I have still never seen a couple have the negative synergy that Jacob and Abby have on
Yeah,
the field.
notably, they usually don't, they request not to be on each other's teams. So this was kind of an interesting grouping.
Yeah, that it's funny to watch them, but yeah. Um, but getting into highlights, oh my goodness, Steven is just, I've talked a lot about how like Steven was just so incredible before the like knee surgeries, or I don't even think he had surgery, the knee
The knee
injury.
non-surgery,
Yeah,
yeah.
people have like for years have been like, oh yeah, Steven's back. And then like every league, Steven is more back.
More
I
back.
didn't count. If you told me that Steven caught or threw over half of the scores for Black's games, I would believe that.
Yeah.
He is, yeah, he's just looked incredible in the end zone. He's looked incredible on defense. He's looked incredible moving the disc. Incredible. He also did have a throwaway where he hit the junior a little bit, hands on the head.
Oh.
He also, I just want to know what happened here. He was open. He called for the disc from EJ. EJ throws it way behind him. It should have been Deed. The disc just teleports through the defender. I think Steven just reached around it. And then Steven, after a completed catch with the disc in his hand, like looks down dejectedly and mad before he remembers he caught it and stands up and throws the score. I don't know what was going through his head there. It was really weird.
Interesting. Stephen, if you want to tell us what was going through your head at that moment, we would love to hear it.
Abby also had a really good deep D on Sarah. Now, this is not the one I talked about earlier, where Sarah snuck behind EJ
Hmm.
and Abby.
Right, because that was a
This was she was on Sarah. She was a little bit under. Sarah takes off deep. Abby goes with her. The throw goes up, and I think if Abby had just run it down and tried to like D up when the catch happened, I think she would have been beat. Sarah had her beat by like a step and a half. And Sarah's pretty fast.
Mhm.
Abby perfectly timed where she could stop and jump up and get the D, and it ended up being like 10 or so feet in front of where like she slowed down, gave up space, and got the I don't think she could have like done it a step earlier. And I think if she had tried a step later, Sarah would have been able to make a play on it. Just a perfect read of knowing exactly where her high point is and where the disc would be to get a really impressive D. So
Yeah, and I have to say that like Abby disproves my f theory that two-footed jumping is stupid. Every time. Like for her, I think like the best vert she has is from both legs, like full power. I don't understand it. Like two-footed jumping is my clap catch take. I think it's dumb, but it's really working for Abby when boxing out is not an option, which I will say I think Abby might have the best like deep space box out other than maybe John Leaz.
yeah,
Like two of our shortest ultimate player.
those are the two best short person deep D players we have.
Yeah.
If you're short and you're sick of getting roofed, watch the two of them.
Yeah, yeah. ZJ hates to see Abby coming. What else do we have for Black?
Yeah, so I want to shout out, so I want to mention Kelly here. They're Kelly. EJ specifically shouted her out as somebody who is constantly asking for improvement and asking questions like, what can I do
Love
better
that.
here? Like, what could, yeah, I know the last time we had a Kelly who was constantly asking for feedback, it ended up pretty all right. So Kelly, you got a shout out for, I thought also she looked her hands looked better this week.
Absolutely.
I thought there were some catches she had that I thought were pretty good catches.
Hmm.
Um, on the note, when EJ told me this, she was not going to be able to make the league this week with all the ice. EJ volunteered to like drive her up there, so shout out Team Synergy.
Let's
Yeah,
go team. Okay.
yeah. But she got a big shout out there. And I think it is paying off. I think if you watch that's somewhat that I have
Yeah.
seen watching footage pay off. And then I got to talk about Nathan. We've talked a lot about how like, oh, Nathan's finally learning how to use his height, but
Hmm.
he really is. We have not seen any of the Nathan flubs a pass or Nathan gets D'd by a dude who's 2 feet shorter than him that we would see like a year and
Here
a
we
half
go.
ago.
Yeah.
Played really well.
Yeah, yeah. I think something that was really notable. I was taking notes during their first game, and I was like, man, Nathan did this. Man, Nathan did this. Man, Nathan is really popping off. And then immediately could not throw to anyone under 5'11". So way to use your height now. See if you can unuse that height when you're throwing.
Yeah. Um, EJ also got hand blocked twice. I mentioned by Sean.
Ooh, by
Three times.
Sean.
Three
Okay,
times.
let's go, Sean.
Appreciate hand blocks.
Okay.
I've mentioned this before, but it makes me happy to talk about EJ getting hand blocks. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
But yeah, like I said, I think this team obviously having one of their best players, if not their best player in Coco, is huge. Will help. I think they will do better.
Mhm.
I would love to see Lom be more aggressive, getting the disc in the end zone.
Oh, you must not have seen his collision with Eric in the
Okay, when I
first
say aggressive,
game.
that's not exactly what I mean. I think Lom played fine this week. But I know Lom is an athlete, one of the best
Yes.
athletes that we have.
Yeah.
And I am seeing him sort of wait to try and guess where he's supposed to go for the handles to throw
Hmm.
him. Man, you can go where you want. Like you're athletic enough. That is something that I think will help them a ton is Lom deciding that he's mad and wants to win us a game.
Okay, let's go, Lom. Get the appropriate level of mad for yourself. I do also have a shout out.
Yeah, yeah.
So Jacob, two different times, I think once in each game, but it might have been two in the same game, just popped up right in front of the end zone, one for a D and one for a snag. to
His
to
ups,
grab the disc.
his ups
His
were
ups were
great.
absurd, and all I can think of is that at my birthday party he ate vegetables once, and now he's fine. So once a decade, Jacob, eat your vegetables.
Eat a
It's
single
clearly working for
avocado once a year.
you. Yeah, your jumps, your snags, like that reflex, all just looking insane.
Yeah. I think that's all we've got. You have a collection of like funny quotes from this week.
Oh
Want to
boy, do I. So my favorite part about playing on one field is that there's a lot of downtime. So in the downtime, I heard, wow, White is looking supremely human. I'm not going to attribute most of these to people, but the next one was, I think I earned half a shout out, which we already did say, but that was from Keegan. You earned more than half a shout out, Keegan. It was a great week for you. The next one was, I realize why it's so quiet now. This was in the latter half of games. There are none of Jimmy's children here. Um, and then also I was told by Ashley that I don't use my fakes very effectively. And I think that was a really good call out because I don't use them at all. Thank you, Ashley, for giving me really needed feedback. Then I overheard Ryan running up to Sarah after the red versus green game saying, "Did you watch it?" about the game we played against her. Uh, and then the last one was when Black was playing their first game. Why does Jacob look like a Ninja Turtle?
You do sometimes though.
Yeah, okay, he's been wearing a bandana recently. I think it's because Will wears his bandana and he wanted to look cool and like channel that like Ninja Turtle Karate Kid energy. Let us know, Jacob. Why do you wear a bandana now? It's looking good. You look like a Ninja Turtle. Yeah, that's all I have for notable quotes of the week. We do have a couple of reminders, but
Yay.
before we dive into reminders, do you remember off the top of your head who the floaters were this week?
Oh yeah, like shout out to Evan, shout out to Lance, and then not a floater but bailing us out anyways. Shout out to Sarah playing 4 games, two of them Savage.
Woo! Yeah, thank you guys so much again. Every week we're gonna thank you for floating. It really does keep things alive. It's great. We really appreciate keeping the games going. Okay, so reminders this week. We're just gonna keep reminding you until at least a week past the date. The women's hat tournament is February 21st. That's a Saturday, 6 to 10 p.m. It's indoors, the same place. Send your women. That's all I got. Send women.
Ultimate, so
Roll
Sarah doesn't
women's
have to
ultimate.
play
Yes.
4 games in a row, two of them Savage.
And then the same reminder as last week, we need someone to stay for the last game to keep score. I know that's harder to do when like you want to go home and it's a little emptier. We haven't had any troubles so far. Keep showing up for your community. That's great. Thank you guys. And then we do have one more kind of
Yeah.
exciting piece
Stay
of
tuned
news.
next week. We have an exciting guest coming.
Oh, I like it. All right. Well, we will see you guys out there this week.
Have a good one.